Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have a book that I want to talk to you about today, and that is this one. I am happy. That's the short version. I'm going to do my best not to give away very many spoilers. There might be some very light spoilers, but I'm not talking about anything specific mostly. I'm just going to be talking about how much I'm impressed by the writing and the things that Rick does as a writer that make this so effective as a book. I'm happy. It was very nostalgic. It was very well done. I gave it 5 stars, largely just because I enjoyed it. I'm not harsh in my reviews of books usually. I give a lot of books 5 stars, but this one yes, it's nostalgic for me, and so that already won at points, and also it's just really well written, and also Rick did some really interesting experimental things with what he did in this book, and I love that for him, and I love what he's doing, and I'm here for it. So without further ado, this book just came out and I have not read a book so quickly in a very, very long time. So first things first, Percy Jackson is back as our narrator in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Chalice of the Gods. This book gave me so many emotions, so that was really fun. All sorts of nostalgia, all sorts of wow, that was clever, all sorts of man, I wish you could make video edits for books without having to have artistic skill, because there are some epic scenes in here that I know would end up in like video fan edits if it was not a book. Side note, that's one of the things that I'm most excited about with the Percy Jackson TV show that's coming up soon, is just the fact that I'll actually be able to make good fan edits with content that doesn't make all of us and all of our fan realities cringe a little bit because of how it deviated from the source material. So anyway, this one, really good. Percy is trying to go to college, which you wouldn't think that the stakes for that would be so high, but Rick does a really good job. He faced the problem of how do I raise the stakes when the stakes for the world have already been raised, right? Like, Percy has saved the world on multiple occasions and he's just barely entering his senior year of high school. Okay, how do you raise the stakes when the world has already been at stake? This is something that a lot of major media have been dealing with for a really long time. This is one of the biggest problems that new authors run into, actually, is that they're like, the fate of the world is at stake, and then they have the whole series left to try to figure out what to do with, right? We saw this with Supernatural. That's why seasons 1 through 5 are so good, and then after that they had to figure out what they were doing a little bit. Is that seasons 1 through 5 of Supernatural, the CW TV show, season 5 is, spoiler alert, the biblical apocalypse. Like, Revelation, seals breaking, world is ending sort of biblical apocalypse. The world has already been ending. What are you supposed to do at that point? That they didn't know. So they figured out how to make Dean Winchester and Sam Winchester fight God, right? So that's interesting. But that was how they dealt with that. This is what we're seeing with Marvel right now, is that they put the world at stake in Endgame, they put the universe at stake in Endgame, they put all sorts of planetary beings and half of the population at stake in Endgame. And now, because they don't know where to go from that, they had to jump to multiverses, right? So it's not enough for our universe to be at stake. Now we have to make everybody else's universe be at stake. But the thing that Rick Riordan does is that he saw that problem and he said, ha, screw that. I'm not going to make the whole world at stake. I'm just going to make Percy's world at stake. And the writing nerd in me is so happy the literature nerd in me it's very obvious that he has done a lot of study of literature because of how he did this. So usually in stories, there's like there's three different types. It's like man against man, man against world, and then man against self, right? So man against man is one person against somebody else. Good guy, bad guy, stakes are pretty low. And they can be pretty high. Man against world is like man against nature. So think of Old Man and the Sea, right? By Hemingway, who actually I got to take a selfie with. Kind of. I got to see a bust of him because I was on vacation in Key West, and so I took a selfie with his statue in the Memorial Garden. Anyway, that's fun. But Old Man and the Sea is old man against the ocean for survival. And that's the man against nature or man against world sort of tension in a story. And then the other option is man against self, right? Where he is his own greatest enemy and he's struggling against his own self-development. And so in previous Percy Jackson books, we've seen man against man as the main stakes. And in this book, we get to see man against self. And that was a really brilliant way of dealing with the problem of how do you raise the stakes in a way that matters, in a way that makes somebody actually, like, that makes the reader still care. And my hat's off to Uncle Rick here. He has done an incredible job. And I'm in love with this book. I'm in love with this character. I'm so excited. Also, I saw the ad on Facebook and I pre-ordered it immediately. And then the second it got to my house, I opened the package, looked at the book, and then sat down and started reading it. The last time I did that was high school. That is the vice grip that Rick Riordan has on my psyche. So, anyway, that's that book. That's my review. I love it. I'm so happy. It was very clever. I really liked how Percy got out of the situations that he ended up in. I really love the character interactions and the dynamics and the humor. It felt like coming home. One of the things in this book is a nostalgia trap. And this book really felt like a nostalgia trap in the best way. I would happily be trapped in this nostalgia for the rest of my life if that were the case. So once again, thank you, Mr. Riordan. If you haven't read Percy Jackson or the rest of these books, you need to. Please do. It's so good. They're just so... No other writer so consistently makes me laugh out loud and then grab whoever is nearest and say, hold on, I need to read you this line, just for them to stare at me blankly because they didn't read the rest of the book and didn't have the context. But every single book of the Percy Jackson and or related series have made me do that every time. Anyway, yeah, so that's my review of this one. Please go read it. It's very good. I'm very happy. And the best news is that you don't actually have to read or remember the other Percy Jackson books to enjoy this one. There's certain mentions of the Battle of Manhattan, but nothing that like spoils the rest of the books actually, which is really impressive. And also Percy has so many memory issues anyway that either he's reminding himself and therefore reminding you of what's necessary, or it's just little Easter eggs for if you do remember things from the other books. So you don't have to read them to enjoy them, which is fantastic news and is super exciting. So anyway, yeah, that's my review of this book. So thanks for watching. Have you read this book? Have you read the other Percy Jackson books? Are you fangirling with me as much as I am? Because I wore my Camp Half-Blood shirt to a coffee shop the other week, and one of the baristas, it was quiet in the shop, there wasn't a lot going on, and she was making a couple other drinks, but she saw my shirt and she was like, I like your shirt, and I was like, thank you, have you read the book yet? It just came out, I just started it, it's so good. And so he fangirled. loudly in the coffee shop in public for like the next 5 minutes. It was fantastic. I love being a part of fan culture and being surrounded by other fans. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling now. Maybe I will stop rambling now. If you want me to keep rambling, you can go back and start this video over. But yeah, so that's this one. Please go read it. I'm so happy. It's a good time. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.